What's going on? It's your boy Sermon at Sermon's Domain on Twitter. January has officially ended and we're heading into February. As I did with January, I'm going to count down some of my most anticipated albums for the month of February 2016. Now, the rules are if you don't have a release date as of right now, then I'm not including it in the video. We're not going off of rumors. And obviously, if there's a release date that's named after this video, I can't include it. So, sorry J. Cole fans, I know he's been teasing that he'll drop something this month, but if there's no confirmation, I don't really want to talk about it yet. We'll just find out. It'll probably be a surprise, who knows. But getting right into it, Boosie Badazz is returning with his second album of 2016 with In My Feelings Out the Past. Now, his first album of the year, In My Feelings Going Through It, was the album that I wanted from Boosie. It was personal. It was deep. There was him talking about his struggle, finding out he had cancer, dealing with family and friends, stuff of that nature. And I think that's the Boosie that I really connect with. So I think Out the Past is going to be another album that follows that tradition. If you look at the cover is a collage of Boosie's past. So it leads me to suspect that it's going to be another self-reflection album, and I think that's a really good look. I'm wondering if he's going to continue doing this every month for the entire 2016. We got January 1st, February 1st. Are we going to see March 1st, April 1st? I think that might get a little exhausting for Boosie to record that much material, but at the same time, we're in an era where we have short attention spans, so I'm sure an album a month really wouldn't be a bad thing, but it might be straining on Boosie to create that much, so maybe we're not going to see a trend of that. But I'm excited to hear In My Feelings Out the Past on February 1st. February 5th is a very stacked date. There's like 6 albums dropping, and I narrowed it down to 3 that I want the most to hear. Starting off with Young Thug, Slime Season 3, I think the main question is, will Young Thug achieve the three-peat with the Slime Season series? One was really good, even though it was just a bunch of leaked material, but at the same time, you gotta appreciate that because now we have better versions. We have complete versions of the records that leaked. Number 2 had some leaked records, but it was more new material than anything, and I think it's the best one out of the series so far. Slime Season 3 could be an album, not in the sense of like this is his debut album, but I feel like they put out 2 singles on iTunes, and maybe the whole project will make its way on iTunes as well instead of just being another free mixtape. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to hearing like the sounds on here, the creative lines, the melodies, all the things that make Young Thug are what I'm looking for on this project. I'm not expecting anything super left field. So Slime Season 3, February 5th. Another album dropping that day is Wiz Khalifa's Khalifa. It started off as a free mixtape that was going to come out on January 22nd. And the way Wiz Khalifa described it was it's a collection of unreleased material that, you know, he just didn't use. And on there was Bake Sale featuring Travis Scott. And they had to rework the beat for that because G-Eazy used it on his sophomore album, so they had to have Juicy J and a couple others rework the beat, and it doesn't sound bad. It doesn't really sound different either. If you compare the 2 beats together, they have that same sample to it, but there's notable differences. I think the most interesting part of Khalifa is that it's now going to be a retail project. I don't know, I hate using the word retail album because then that kind of adds to that discography, but it's not really an album, it's more of a retail project. But it's interesting because at some point, like Wiz or Atlantic Records said, hey, why are we putting this out for free? We could put this on iTunes and make some more money. And I think they've done a good job. I mean, Bake Sale was very anticipated, so throwing that out as the first single was a smart decision. And the rest of the album doesn't have too many features on it. Aside from Taylor Gang and Rico Love, there's Juicy J, Chevy Woods, Courtney Noel, and I think that's all. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Khalifa sounds like, and if it sounds like it's worth the purchase. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, you can put anything on iTunes, but is it worth the $9.99? I don't know. The other album dropped in February 5th is Little Bibby Free Crack 3, the Epilogue. I'm looking forward to this because Free Crack 3 was really good. It came out late November, and they were going to put out Free Crack 3, the Epilogue, on December 17th, but they smartly pushed it back until February. I say smartly because you just put out a mixtape, so there's no reason to rush into your first retail project. This is the end of the Free Crack series, so I think it gave him enough time to create more music possibly for it. I mean, I think the track listing stands at 11 songs, but who knows? We haven't seen the full track list, so he might have took away a record and added this record, or at the very least touched up a couple verses. Who knows? But it definitely gave them more time to promote it, and it gave you that couple months between the two projects, so it's not like you're getting all this Little Baby material all at once. And on the album so far, they have the All Man record featuring Future, and then there was a snippet of EBT to BET on the mixtape that will be on the album. And other than that, the track listing hasn't been fully revealed, which is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's coming out this Friday, so I don't know. But that concludes the February 5th releases. The next release is in a class of its own. February 11th, Kanye West, Waves. What can I say about this album? Really, I mean, it's the most anticipated album of maybe even the year, not just February, but of the year. Kanye's been in the studio with everybody this past week. He's still working on the album, as evident by the piece of paper where he keeps adding new things to it. Like, he changed the title from Swish to Waves, and he also added a record called Ultra Light Beam. So it's very interesting because most artists would have had to have turned in the album by now, but Kanye is still working. I don't know to what extent like all these guests that have been in the studio are playing. Maybe they're just there to listen to the album. Maybe some are actually going to be on the album, but I don't know. I think that's part of the fun in this campaign for Kanye West, I think. I don't know. There's not a lot to say about Waves. I mean, we all have the same feelings about Waves. If we're Kanye fans, we're highly anticipating it. We want to hear what Kanye's created. And I think going into this album, I'm more confident that it'll be an exceptional album as opposed to Yeezus, which I really didn't like. You had Real Friends, you had No Parties in LA, and obviously we've kind of heard Wolves and Fade through the Yeezy season videos, but I'm not really going to judge those. But based on the two singles that we have in CD quality form, I gotta say I'm very impressed, and I'm hoping that the rest of the album follows that. Now, the last two albums are rounding out the month. February 26th, Macklemore Ryan Lewis, This Unruly Mess I've Made. It's their sophomore album. I think I'm looking forward to what they can craft. One of the things that I'm looking forward to most is Macklemore creating some music that people really resonate with. I think he's kind of done that with White Privilege too. At least I kind of resonated with it just, thinking about it. And I hope that a lot of the fans are thinking about it as well, because it's dedicated towards more of his white fan base than anything. It's not for us like hip-hop heads, hip-hop fans, that's not who the record's for. And I've already talked about this extensively in another video you can find on my channel, but as much as Macklemore is a huge part of the duo, Ryan Lewis plays an equal part. I'm looking forward to his production, hearing the growth and the diversity, because the Heist was very exceptional production. He had these big stadium bangers, and I wonder if they're going to have that again. I know the single Downtown hasn't done as well as Thrift Shop. I think it's only gold, but I'm interested to see what else they have, and if they can create another album that sustains longevity. They lasted almost, over 3 years off of the Heist. They toured around the world like twice or three times, and they were performing it everywhere. They won Grammys. It's unheard of in this generation for a new artist to have that kind of success with their debut album and then continue to tour off of it for that long and not have to put out a follow-up yet. So overall, I think next to Kanye, Macklemore's album is one of my most anticipated albums for, February. But this last one is, he's more underground than anything, but at the same time, I wanted to highlight him because he is an exceptional artist coming out of Atlanta. Rome Fortune. He's putting out his debut album through Fool's Gold. He signed a one-album deal with them. And Jerome Raheem Fortune is dropping the same day as Macklemore, February 26th. Last year, I think it was October or November or even earlier, Rome played some of the album in the studio for me when he was out here in Seattle. And I gotta say, the production was sounding very unique. And I think that's the word that I like using about Rome Fortune, is unique, because he comes from Atlanta, but he doesn't rap like anybody else coming out of Atlanta. He doesn't use Metro Boomin, Zaytoven, Mike Will, those type of producers, even though there's nothing wrong with that. I think it gives Rome an edge because he doesn't sound like everybody else and he stands out. The one thing about this album that he needs to get his point across, and what he talked about, was he wants people to know who Rome Fortune is. When you walk away from listening to the album, the question, who is Rome Fortune, should be answered. And I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. There's not many guest features on the album. Mainly because you want to tell your story how you want to tell your story. You don't need a bunch of other people helping you to tell your story, especially like other rappers or guest features. I feel like if the guest features that are on his debut album are going to be solely hooks, just little things that he can do here and there. But that wraps up my 7 albums for February 2016 that I'm most anticipating. Obviously, there's way more. There's Trey the Truth, there's BJ Chicago Kid, there's Brother Lynch Hung, and a number of others also have release dates, but I wanted to include just a few of them. But I want to know which albums you're anticipating most for February 2016. Do you think my list is good? What do you think about my list? And if I didn't name one of the albums you're most anticipated, let me know in the comment section, like, which one it is and why you're anticipating it so much. So that's my list. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Share the video. Follow me on Twitter @SermonsDomain. And as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate you for watching. And until next time, peace.